Hey, what's up? This is the evening drive. My name is Sam Cox, and I'm along with Evan Walters.
What up? What up? Yes, sir. I'm super excited to be with everybody today. Sam and I had got together a while back and we're like, man, we're just car guys, right? We've been in the business a long time and we felt like there was a void in certain areas. One of those areas being something that you're listening to on your way home, right? Like you could listen to some music, maybe an audible, but a lot of podcasts and a lot of good information, right? Like some good digestive things while we're driving home. There's just not a lot out there, right, Sam?
Yeah, I mean, I drove an hour and a half each way for 8 years, and I mean, there was always something. I mean, yeah, you got music, you got audiobooks, you got but podcasts, man, they can keep you going a little bit and keep keep things going. But the catch comes in, just like what we countered back in COVID. There's nothing that could really tell us what was going on. Nothing really like relevant for anything at all. So, I mean, that's the theory behind this.
Yeah, we wanna keep it relevant with what is going on in the market, and this is specific to automotive people, well, but it's gonna reach a broad variety of people that are in different industries, but we come from the automotive industry. That's kinda where our heart has been, and that's where we're gonna start. And we realize, like, turning off the lights of the dealership at night, locking the gate, and heading home can be lonely, right? And we wanna be there for people, mainly like dads, right? We're speaking to a very broad
And
group,
moms,
right?
and
And
moms.
moms, right?
We'll throw
We're
some
gonna talk
moms in
about
here
moms, but
too.
we're
Yeah.
we're we're dads in the industry, and we understand, like, getting home late, having that work-life balance is hard. So we're just gonna start talking about some things that we did that helped us at home and the transition away from the dealership and what that looked like and all the things. There's a lot to come.
Yeah, I mean, and I think the key comes in is this. I mean, it's going to be a lot of automotive related stuff, especially news, but we're going to tap in some other news for you guys too. Stuff that's going to go ahead and as you're driving, it's the reason why it's called the evening drive. So that way in the evening, it's kind of relevant type information for you. And then just kind of making sure that you guys understand. Listen, we're just a couple dudes. So we're gonna when we're talking to you, you may be like, "What are these clowns talking about?" And I understand that, but we're just going to tell you how it is. We're going to have a little bit of fun with it. We're going to have guests along the way on here. So, just kind of join along the way and, enjoy episode one. I mean, this is, we've been talking about this for a hot minute and it's like, let's just go ahead and launch it. Let's just get things going here a little bit.
Let's do it. Let's do it, man. So to start it out, for those of you who don't know, we'll give you a brief little intro of who we are and what to expect throughout the podcast as we continue to build this thing out. I'm Evan Walters. I started in the auto industry when I was 17 years old, detailing cars, shining wheels, cleaning carpets, doing all that stuff for about 2 years. And then I got a couple salespeople that kept coming up to me over the years, buying new trucks, seeing new things, buying new homes, doing all the things. And I got curious, right? I figured, man, I bet there's a better way to make more money, to build families, to do the things that I've always dreamed about. So I became a salesperson at this dealership, at a Chevy dealership in a small town. We're from Kentucky, small town, Paris, Kentucky, at this Chevy dealership, and was really just blessed to be there as we grew. And we ended up growing exponentially, right? We grew 800% in 6 years. So I was on sales management, or like a triplet position, what we called it. And then I moved in to finance, and that's where I really found my passion. So you'll hear me talk a lot about finance and management and stuff in the automotive world. So that's kind of where I came from and how I relate to automotive. Sam, what about you?
Yeah. My wife did not want me to get in automotive. She begged me not to get into automotive. 20 plus years ago. I had just left a job and her stepdad was in automotive and he offered me a position and she, I think, threatened to leave me at that point if I went ahead and, took it. But I decided to go ahead and do it anyway. And, long story short, my name's Sam Cox. I've spent the last 20 some years in automotive. I've taken two dealerships now to levels of 800% growth. And I still, my biggest accomplishment though, is I think I've been a part of over 5 dozen, closing in on now on 6 dozen different like promotions to different management positions. I get dealerships across the country that still like pick my brain and I help them like pick out some managers to go ahead and promote, whether that's into the desk or finance or whatever. And those are just, to me, it's all about leadership. It's all about leadership and what's it take to be a leader today in today's world, because it's a whole different game, man. Whole different game. We are not, I mean, dude, like Evan, when you were on the floor, when you sold for me, you guys were warriors. It was like that warrior mentality, man, to where you guys did not want anybody else to take that deal from you. If I called in for somebody to do a TO, for those of you guys listening, it's like a turnover where somebody else gets involved. If I had somebody else do a TO for you, you got mad at me.
Yes,
You
yeah.
literally get, yeah, dude, you get pissed and you're like,
Exactly.
no, that's not going to happen.
That's right.
And honestly, greatest story about like that. I had a lady, she was our receptionist. All right. Her name was Brenna, or is Brenna. And she was our receptionist. And she was, I think, was she like 19 years old at the time,
Yeah, she
maybe
was young.
18?
Yep,
She was
yep.
young.
She was young.
And we had our top guy, his name was Mo Ali. Okay, believe it or not, it's Muhammad Ali. And this guy could sell, especially like as this stuff, like it was crazy. But he couldn't get a customer to commit at all, and it was late one night, and I just was feeling a little bit frisky, and I'm like, "Hey, hey, Brenna, why don't you go in and, like, TO this for me?" And she just looked at me like I was nuts because she was a receptionist for us, the evening receptionist, and she went ahead and did it. She went ahead and like, "Yeah, I'll do it, but he can't go with me." And she went over there, and she didn't get the commitment either, but she did get I think she got a test drive, and the very next day, she wanted to, like, go ahead and shadow and get onto the sales floor. So, I mean, those are the type of stories we'll share along the way with you guys. But we're excited and pumped and ready to roll with this. So
Yeah, yeah, and I love that you bring that up, man. It just shows that like just because of where you're at today doesn't have to be where you stay forever, right? And just because of the things that you've always been taught or the things that you know now, it could be just the beginning. It has a lot to do with self-discipline and accountability and how you start your day, right? So we're going to be talking about things like finances and leadership and some faith things, some fatherhood or some parenthood things, just kind of bring it in full circle because we believe that you have to be excellent or elite at all areas of life to fully tap and unlock your full potential. So there's going to be a bunch of different topics, and more likely than not, we're just going to have a bunch of fun, right? That's the big purpose of this is we don't
we don't have a
it.
we won't
Right.
be any kind of schedule. We're not going to
No.
be. This isn't scripted. I guarantee you right now that we're going to get off on some kind of tangent and we're lose track of time. It'll be that type of stuff that goes on. I almost guarantee you right now.
Yep.
So
Yep. Yep. So we're excited. One thing, let's start kind of going back.
one thing before we go over all that real quick, let's say this: if you would have, okay, this is 2026. If you would have known Evan back in the day and known me back in the Dan Cummins days, we were probably two of the last ones you'd ever expect to be doing something like this, right? Because Evan was not a real like outgoing social media type person. I treated it like it was the devil, especially when Glenn was like doing it all the time. I did not want to have anything to do with it.
Yeah.
And now we're all over the place with it because I mean it's kind of what you have to do. So I just thought before we jump into this, as he's talking about making changes and you don't have to stay the way things are, keep that in mind. We both hated it. I have like a video of Evan, like when he first got promoted. I'm pretty sure the dude's just standing around and trying to hide from the camera the entire
Right.
time.
You're probably right.
Now he's in front of it like 24/7. So just think about that as we're like going through this little journey with you guys.
That's right. That's right. All valid. All valid. Now the evening drive, where did that come from? Like where did we get inspired to start thinking about the evening drive? And people that aren't really in the let's think about people that aren't in the automotive sector. They're probably wondering like, what do you mean like shutting down the dealership, turning off the lights, locking the gates, that lonely drive home? Like what does that mean? Where did that come from? How did we come up with that? I guess Sam, you had the longer drive. So like what does it mean? Where are we trying to fill the holes, right?
Well, I think where we're trying to fill the holes, I think when me and you were talking about it and the evening drive came in because of the long drive, that I had. I mean, that was a big part of it when we were discussing it. I think the other part of it is that Evan and I is both married. Okay, been both of them married for a while. Both of us with kids. And the fact that this evening drive also, relates to our wives, also relates to our kids.
Yeah.
So those of you that's not in the automotive field, it doesn't really matter. You guys all have an evening drive, whether that's a 5 minute drive or an hour and a half drive. And even if you're maybe even have the harder job of where you're the stay-at-home mom and taking care of the kids, because it's a job I would never friggin' take. It is one of those things to where you are just a part of the evening drive too. Because if it wasn't for you doing all that, trust me, we wouldn't be driving home.
Exactly.
So I think that's where it relates to me. I mean, this is not going to be just an automotive related, even though a lot of it is, but that's the key is that our wives, our kids, our friends, our family, everybody kind of it all kind of goes into all of that.
Yeah, and, I'll speak from experience too, from locking that gate or shutting down that dealership at 11, sometimes 11:30 at night and having a 30 to 45-minute drive home, and sometimes it wasn't always the best day, right? So that time is for me to decompress and not bring all that stuff home, right? Because like you said, man, you got the stay-at-home dad, the stay-at-home mom, whoever your spouse staying at home, if they work or not, they're probably getting home before you, right? And they've had to deal with a lot of shit too, right? They've had to deal with the kids yelling and fighting and doing all the things that they shouldn't be, right? Or they've had to go get the groceries and do the laundry and do the chores or do the things that maybe sometimes we take for granted, especially if we had a hard day. So using this time,
Bro, we totally take it for granted. Come
we
on.
do,
Those
we
little
do, man.
things like that, we take it for granted.
We do. I agree. I agree. And I try to set aside some special appreciation for my wife, for Destiny, just because they deserve it, right? They deserve that recognition. And I remember I used to take that for granted and I would pull things from work into home and it never worked out, right? It never worked out for the best. So using this space to decompress and to understand, like, just because you had a shitty day at work doesn't mean you got to take it home to the family.
Yeah, I mean, it's that we all have those days no matter what field you're in, whether it is, whether it's in the dealership, which we have the most experience at, or another retail field, it doesn't really matter. You're gonna have that, the day where you kind of need to maybe unwind. A lot of people they use it, that's when they use the bar or they use, they get into other bad stuff that they shouldn't. You know, that's what we're hoping that we can kind of help you guys overcome is the mental health side of it, something that we didn't have at the time. And maybe now we can be that little mental health like gap for you.
Yep. I love that. I love that, man. And like you said, we're going to be having some guest speakers. We're going to be having some outside thought leaders that we have had the privilege to run into over the years. Obviously, your listeners that probably don't know our story are like, well, where are you all now, right? What are you guys doing now? Well, now we coach and mentor.
Yeah, it's probably a pretty good thing to say, huh?
We work with hundreds of rooftops all over the nation. We've worked with or had a blessing to touch at least 1,000 or so managers or leaders throughout the automotive industry, and we're super blessed, right? We quit. We didn't quit. We left when we were at the top of our game. I can fully say that, right? I know that you were doing all that you could do, maxing out everything in every single area, and I feel the same, right? We left because we knew that there was more. We had a vision to help speak and to help lead and coach more people outside of those four walls, right? Out of that dealership. I'm going to tell you, it was great doing what we did. It was a blessing. Not a lot of people will get to experience what we did with the camaraderie and the culture and the atmosphere, but I knew that there was more there. I don't know about you, Sam, but I had a feeling like I can impact and make a bigger positive impact in the world than just doing what I'm doing here, right?
No, absolutely not. When I left Dan Cummins, I was done. I mean, after Josh and me, after we parted ways, I was retired is the way I put it. Even though my wife said you can't retire at that age and everybody else said the same thing, I said I was done. So it took Glenn telling me, you can't retire, you need to get in, do your thing. And then finally, when you get back into it and you start talking to people and you start coaching around a little bit and you start realizing, this is what I love to do. You know, I love to coach. I love to be a part of somebody's life and like watch them like grow, watch them just like prosper. So like I just had a sales guy on, on our live Zoom like a couple weeks ago. And he literally said, when I called on him, he's like, this is the reason why I love 800% because you guys, we don't just sit and talk about, the next cheesy line. And I call them cheesy lines. You're going to hear me say it all the time. The cheesy lines that are out there, but you guys are helping us grow as like human beings and as like men and things like that. And that is how we grew our store.
That's right.
That's how we grew our store from Evan. I mean, I laugh sometimes and think about it because I've known the guy for so long. I've known him for like half of his life, I think.
Yeah.
Which is seems crazy to say because he's not even my
Right.
kid, but
Right.
I've known him for half of his life. So that's what we did though. We helped the, like, men and women grow into adults and into parents of their own, and, those partnerships and those, like, friendships, they're everlasting,
They are.
whether it's with right now or, when we lose one of our brothers or sisters, so
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. And I think a big part of that, like I'm gonna go back to where when I was younger, growing up in through the industry and being mentored by people like you, Sam and Glenn, and all the other great mentors that I had, it was like accountability and just holding yourself to a certain standard. I think that was where I really got to the next level was when I knew that there was something bigger. Like, I messed up, man. One time I was selling cars for a couple years. I think I had just turned 21 years old. I was making big money, 150,000 plus a year. And I got with the wrong people, made the wrong decisions. I went down the road to a local bar, drank too much, peeled out of the parking lot, got thrown out of the car, had drugs in the car, had a gun in the car, looked like freaking Pablo Escobar in Paris, Kentucky, right? And at that moment, I could have gone a couple different ways. I could have pulled back and retreated, or I could push through it, and I could find the light at the end of the tunnel and really realize why did God put me in that position the way that He did. And luckily for me, it only took one time in handcuffs to figure it out, right? And it's because I had great mentors and people like you and Glenn that would push me through that and show me the upside. And I'm just super blessed to have had that mental strength going through it. So I thank you all for that. And also like anybody that's listening, just know that there's a bigger purpose than yourself, right? Stop being so selfish and look at the team and look at the situation and just know that you can push through it.
and know that, there's when we're talking about this stuff and reliving some of this stuff, and what we do is like we kind of relive some of these moments as in our coaching because we're two normal dudes. We really truthfully are. And, we've made a million mistakes, and I literally probably a million and one for me. And it's literally something that we're just going to go ahead and that's how we coach. We tell you what the mistakes we made and we try to help you to where you don't have the same mistakes. But I want to make sure Evan pushes this and I listen to it, to where he says it. We are normal guys, and all we've done is we were blessed to be put in the position to where we were in a dealership that was a very high volume store to where those mistakes that people it might take them, you know, 5 years to make, we would make those in a year because we were so busy that we were able to like go ahead and just stay that way. So um, that's how we're gonna coach those. We're gonna tell you that kind of stuff, And when we do this, I mean, keep in mind there's gonna be stories about dads and I'm sure we can probably get, people on here to talk about like recipes, I mean, we'll be all over the place. Make sure you guys tell us this stuff too. You guys, for those of you that have our numbers or when this is posted on YouTube or wherever, put some comments in. What would you like to see us talk about? Because I mean, as long as it's, as long as we can talk about it, we will talk about it. So,
That's right. That's right. Yeah, and definitely subscribe. We're gonna have a lot more coming out to you. And we wanted to just really, this one was really just to tell you what we were doing, get it out there, start it first, right? What that's one thing that we coach and that we preach. So we try to practice what we preach. Is just start it, right? Just wing it. You'll figure it out as you go instead of trying to perfect it all the time. So
yeah, it'd be fun to like look back at this first one,
it
because
will.
this first one will be all jacked up, and we'll have stuff like I literally moved some stuff around behind me today just to go ahead and like clean it up a little bit. You can even see I got a little fireplace going behind me, so it'll be fun looking back at it. But the key is this. The coach's corner for this week is this: make sure that you are not beating yourself up so much that that you can't think of how to get to day, but you're also holding yourself accountable because everybody out there, you can get 1% better each and every day in some aspect of your life. No matter who you are, you're able to get 1% better if your mind is right and if you want to. If you don't want to, no, you can't. But as long as your mind is right and you want to, you can get 1% better.
That's right. And I'm going to leave you with the thing that we all are getting better at here at 800% Club. And one thing that how you can get your mind better. What do we always say, Sam? It's better how we start our day completely affects the rest of the day. We talk about the morning five. a lot, right? And we're getting into this even more. We've done it for years, but we're holding ourselves even more accountable. So the morning five, the first thing that we do in the morning, if you're like me, I'm a snooze button guy, right? No snooze button in the morning. That's one of the first things that we preach, because who has ever been like so rejuvenated over that extra 15 minutes of sleep? Not me. I know I
Not
haven't.
me.
So
No.
no snooze button is the first thing you can
It's
do
the devil.
to get your
As Glenn
body.
says, snooze button is the devil.
That's right. That's right. The second thing would be no phone first thing in the morning. Cause I don't know about you, Sam, but my feed isn't all positive rainbows and butterflies and all the good things, right? So making sure that we don't have our phone first thing in the morning. What's the third thing, Sam?
I'm making sure that we're sending an encouraging message to somebody.
We got to send an
To
encouragement.
me, it's a big one, because I want to make sure to get somebody else's day going. And keep in mind, that could be anything. It could be, yes, I love you to my wife or my kids. It could be, have a great day. It could be just, lately with and Evan can talk about it in a second, but we have this new app called the Morning Five app, okay, which is kind of goes in, kind of spoiler alert, there's five of these things. But as we do them, there's an app that you can go in and you can join our community. Okay. And when you join our community, it goes through it, but you can even nudge somebody and say, "Hey, wakey, wakey," or like, want to see you on the leaderboard, missing you on the leaderboard. So it's like fun stuff like that, but that anything to encourage somebody.
Yeah, I like that. The next one would be physical activity. So get your body moving, right? I know that's super. We think it's super hard in the industry, right? I didn't do enough of it when I was in the finance seat, right? Sitting down all day doing deals, especially at a high pace, high volume. I wish I would have done more of that. So finding time for some type of physical activity. I'm a runner now. I love to run. I also like to Peloton. I'll do that at least once or twice daily, right? I'll take a run and then go on the bike. I try to do 5 to 6 days a week that I'm doing something. So getting motivated, and that creates confidence. And we always teach, like, the more confident that you are in yourself, the better your selling ability is, the better that you come across to that customer, that person that's sitting across from that desk. So just get active, right? Get active. What's the next one, Sam?
And is the gratitude and goals. That
Gratitude and
one
goals.
there is you would not believe how impactful those actually are. All right. Because when you're going through your gratitude and your goals, it's stuff like, "Hey, I'm grateful my bills are paid, today. I'm grateful I have a roof, over top me. I'm grateful I woke up, you
Yeah.
know, things like that. I mean, there's so many things everybody can be grateful for. From, I don't care if you have just pennies to your name or above. Think, if you have pennies to your name, maybe, hey, I'm grateful I have pennies to my name. I'm grateful that I was able to eat today. Glenn tells the stories of like when he was homeless and, of when he'd have what, a couple dollars and he'd go get like what was
Sausage
this?
egg, sausage McMuffin or something. He said it
I
was
think it
all
was a
food,
sausage,
orange juice.
sausage and egg McMuffin, I think,
Yep, with
because he got all of his food groups,
yeah,
from that one
and an
McMuffin. So,
orange juice because that was his
and
fruit.
orange juice. That's right. That's right. So that was his fruit. But you know what? He was grateful that he was able to afford that and be able to do that each and every day. So, and your goals can be whatever. Your goals can be whatever they are. Me, staying on the fitness side, I like to do high rocks events. So I want to compete in, a couple more high rocks events. And just want to start getting into running, but there's whatever your goals are, whether it's to make $1 million this year, whether it's to, buy a yacht, whether it's to buy a bicycle, it doesn't matter. What are your goals?
Yeah, and I think, the easiest way to start that, because that was kinda overwhelming for me, because I did get lost in the sauce, right? It's easy to do. There's so many things that you could talk about or that you could think about, and for me, I just started with 3. My top 3 things that came to mind first. Well, what am I grateful for? The first 3 things that came to mind, and go into depth a little bit, right? I'm grateful for my wife because she takes care of the home while I'm at work, or I'm traveling. She allows me to travel for work, so she takes care of the kids, or go into depth a little bit with it so that it really gets your mind thinking. But do the first 3 things. Same with the goals, right? Like today, one of my goals was to start this podcast, right? To start the podcast and get it going, and we can mark it off the board. And anytime we can mark things off the board, it feels good, right? And it moves you one step closer. So those 5 simple steps, the morning five, I promise it'll put you in the right seat to get to where you need to go in the next level.
And keep those in mind that they're simple steps,
Yep.
right? I don't think that we talked about anything I don't think we talked about anything that not every single person in the world can do. Okay, I get your body moving. You don't have to go to the gym. You don't have just get your body moving. All right. Sometimes, I'll make sure if I made the bed. If I go in there and actually make the bed and I'm able to do all that kind of stuff, I just got my body moving because you know
Right.
what? Some people get up and then they go sit on the couch, for the next X amount of time. Get your body moving and just get going. If you're at a dealership, get your body moving at the lot. Do a lot walk. Get moving around a little bit. Um, we're blessed to be able to do this for you, bring this to you guys. What we'll be doing, I think, is what we discussed. We'll be probably launching 2 of these a week, just that way you guys have a chance to go ahead. We can keep up with things, and just get kind of structure and anything else that you guys need and want.
Let's rock. What do you say, Sam? What do you say? What's the last line? What's Sam's
Alright,
line?
the last time, every time we end something, every time we're gonna end this too, alright, I want every as always, let's go ahead and let's win the day.
Win the
Let's
day,
go.
baby.
Win the day, and, we will see you next time. Let's go.